Good morning. I need to breathe. I don't know if y'all do or not. So let's take a slow breath in and out. I'm hoarse and my nose is running, and I've noticed several people nose is running, so that's sort of where we are in this season. Today is June 1. It's the 6 months, beginning of the second 6 months I'm with you guys. And last week, my fiancée Kathy was treated to our sociability, and she loved it and had a great time. And I want to thank everyone for being a part of that and making her feel welcome. The chalice lit this morning in honor of tomorrows and the possibilities. We have a legacy that goes back 70, 80 years, and we're carrying it forward. If you'll notice on your screen, it's a prayer that I wrote for my book, Kingdom Spirituality, Kindom. I recovered after Peggy's death and my dark time and moved to Macon, Georgia for about 18 months. And then I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio for about that same amount of time in independent living places. And I slowly recovered and got stronger. That, you can do the math there. It seemed like 3 to 4 years, but it may have been less. Time runs together with me. I'm not good on dates. I love history, but I'm not good on dates. I get approximate. So the Unitarian Universalist Society Fellowship of Sussex County gathers in Newton, New Jersey at a wonderful old Grange-looking building. 2 of the members are here that are now members here, Laura and David. They joined about 6 months, 3 months before I left, and their child is there now working the soundboard this morning. This is their last Sunday before a 3 months hiatus. Well, I didn't have any money and didn't play golf, so I didn't have anything to do that summer. And I got strong enough and adventurous enough to start a little book I wanted to write. And I did work on the concept of kingdom rather than kingdom, based on the matriarchal aspect of relationships rather than the hierarchical. King is up, kingdom is this way, like us. Well, Adam died 16 months ago now, or 14 months ago. So I revised it, and actually I have 2 books that look the same, but it's called Kingdom, the Kingdom Option. And I couldn't write the book without sharing my journey. So it's 20 or 30 pages, not that long. The book is very short, very pithy, I hope. Believe it or not, I cannot be wordy. And I found in my review of people who bought it that they love the prayers. So that proved to me that when I create poetry or imagery, it's better than the historical narrative or the philosophizing. So with that premise, I'll read this to you, and you can read along with, not read along, but read along silently. It is all broken. It is all spoiled. It is all diseased. The ancients taught us life is a fleeting, troubling passage of dread and loss. Yes, I accept that, but I reject and defy any God, philosophy, creed, or person that would deny my gift and power of imagination, love, and sharing. Amid hell, I have seen and served heaven. No streets of gold, but a common wheel of prosperity, justice, and peace is possible through loving and being, caring and sharing. A commitment to being an agent of redemption and transformation. I would find the courage and see the possibilities. Amen. I left Pulaski, Tennessee, and Martin College as Dean of Admissions and Housing in 1973 actually. Joy, my wife, was pregnant with our son Amos, and we went to Sudley United Methodist Church in Kidharpin, Virginia, on the boundary of Bull Run, Manassas battlefield. The little Sudley church was right at the border of the cemetery, of the area. Amos and I went, 2-3 years ago now. We rendezvoused there. He needed to go to get some golf things there in a shop in Fairfax. So I was in New Jersey, so we decided to meet up because I was sort of doing a reminiscent tour of the places I'd lived. Because we lived there, I went to seminary in Washington, D.C. at United Theological Seminary 3 days a week for 2 years. I wore out a little Volkswagen Beetle, but I took it to Cincinnati to finish up my degree at United Theological Seminary in Dayton. So I commuted to 2 different seminaries across the country from one another to go to school. One of the topics that was big in both schools of training was Joseph Campbell's Power of Myth. There was a beginning of a thought about biography as theology. See, it was moving away from creeds and biblical studies, much like we're doing today on public radio with the Moth Hour and telling the stories. Because the premise was that if you relate your story to others, and as you do it to yourself, you will discover what values, meanings you find. And I've been on that journey from that time in 74 of how do I know what I know? How do I learn my values? Well, you got so many elements. A creed can't cover it. The Bible studies can't cover it, yet they can give you parallels. Because I would argue that the Bible is as much psychology as it is history and propaganda. It's what men felt religion was like and God was like. And it was power over, not power with. But I was here doing Helena. Y'all were too, I suspect. And the other one, what was it? Milton. There's power out there. It ain't a matter of science. We can describe it with science. We can chart it. Dave Gallagher, who's a dear friend of mine and a blues man in Huntsville, Alabama, he's a meteorologist in the Navy or Air Force. He's older than me, but he's still making the blues. But he sent Kathy and I all the markings, all the information he derived from the internet at home to warn folks. We're living in a marvelous age. We have tools. I won't go into my heart transplant, but I will brag about it. It'll be 15 years, June the 21st. 15, you can applaud, 15 years. And some of my conservative friends and fundamentalist types go, oh, Lord bless you. And I say, I believe in miracles because I am one, but not because you say it. I don't go that far, but I try to be a diplomat. I try to be appealing because I'm a people pleaser. No preacher in the world is not a people pleaser. If he or she says they aren't, they're lying. Because I'm a performing introvert. I will be wasted after the memorial service today at 1. And in the old days, I would drive around and listen to music or sleep. I've got a little quiz for you guys. Y'all going to participate in this homily, this message, this sermon. How many of you were born in Florida? Hold up your hand. Huh. How many are you from the East Coast? Hold up your hand. East Coast now. How many are from the Midwest? Okay. How many of you are from Tennessee? Did you know that? We got to have a subgroup, okay? You buy, Marla. So biography is us examining ourselves with integrity, honesty, remembering who our parents were, or I did that Ancestry.com to see who I was because I want to know who I am. Because I'm not my daddy, I'm not my mama, I'm not my children, but I'm Doak. There aren't too many Doaks, are there? How many's known one? Hold up your hand. You know me. How many of you know one now? See, it's really remarkable how life will give us stuff and we find a truth we're going to keep and we learn that that truth has been modified. I'd give the illustration all the time that one of my great heroes is George Washington. I know that's simple. It's not because of Parson Weems' myths about it, but because what I've studied in books and in cinema about the character he was. But you know what the real story is? He was an achiever. He was low-class gentry. He had to marry a rich widow to get a grub stake because he was going to be great. He dreamed it, he did it. He worked his bottom off. He explored the Ohio country, which was across the way. If you know your geography, Virginia went all the way to the Smokies past the Smokies over to the Mississippi River once upon a time. He was 69 years old, I think, and he got a sore throat. He'd been president. He'd gone home to Mount Vernon to make money off of the backs of his slaves, his wife's slaves. But he didn't have a mistress like Mr. Jefferson did, who made babies for him, who now go to the reunions of the Jeffersons because they are descendants of the Jeffersons in Monticello. George Washington was bled to death when he had a throat infection. If he had had antiseptic, what do preachers and singers squirt? Chloroseptic. He'd lived another 10, 15 years, making money off of slaves, developing the mule, breeding mules, because the King of Spain sent him a big stud mule, or something like that. It gets confusing because mules are, they're sterile. So you got to have a blend of a horse and a donkey, and it can go both ways. Biography as theology teaches us whether we're atheist, humanist, agnostics, mystics, Wiccan, earth religions. See, truth is in our lives. Truth is in our people we've buried and people we've been frightened for and the times we have escaped death. And in this congregation, in the dome, the people of the dome look at those ideas, look at those thoughts, examine them openly, with an open heart and an open mind. A fellow taught me this years ago in my congregation in Cincinnati. And bless his heart, he's still there, Bob. I'm blanking on his last name. Y'all don't ever forget things, do you? Should know it right like that. Bob Booth. He told me, because he'd done a weird migration. He'd come from California to Cincinnati. He and his wife Connie was in a group that were, one of those California weird groups, And I'm trained as a Universalist and a Unitarian and doubt the Bible, but I'm still not ready to move into, dashikis and sandals. I'm still real straight. He said to me, all life tends toward life. All life tends toward life. Oh, I remember what he was. He's a chemist. That's one of the laws of thermodynamics or something, or contradicts it. Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Have you ever had a hallucination? Have you ever been low of sodium? You can't put the words together. I experienced that. And then science was able to recognize what medications were messed up. And I'm back here. That was 7, 8 years ago. How many are you in here are left-handed? Hold up your hand. 18% of the world's population is left-handed. It could be interesting to see if that ratio works with us here, but we're going to get into it now. We have the challenge and the opportunity to discern what's true for us. I've done funerals one after another over the years, so many places. And I baptized a stillborn child in the emergency room of a hospital because Mama wanted him to get to heaven. And I didn't talk theology with them. I was there to serve them because that's not the time. People lament our children not having children. My 2 boys were raised in the Unitarian Universalist Church, and they know more about it than I do because they were kids. And their mom was the RE director because that's how we rolled my first ministry in Cincinnati for 9 years. My oldest, Amos, is a halfway Lutheran because he married a Lutheran lady. But we can talk about life in such a way, he anticipates me and could read me like a book. And I thought I was the father. And Adam divorced the mother of his children because she wanted a divorce, because Adam had been a child father, making kids every time they had an argument. Am I telling you too much? How about some biblical stories? How about some thou shalts? We don't do that here. But they got back together after about 7 years of estrangement and had the happiest last 4 or 5 years of his life. And I found his burying plot in the Natural Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. And his mother and I and his widow planted a tree last time I was up there, above his head, near his head. We tell stories, we know stories, but the heart and the mind can discern for us what's important and what is to celebrate. Funerals, as in worship services, as in celebrations of life, as in celebrating as a community, is saying we are together and we are related, not necessarily by blood or tradition, but by intention. By intention. We could go deeper and deeper in who we are here, but we are right now the dome people of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tampa, Florida. We see people come and go over the 80 years. We build buildings, we leave buildings. We dream, we have great preachers, great ministers, great people, and then life changes on us. Because most of the time the egos get in the way. Because I know what's right for you people. You don't understand that, right? So get in line. I'm turning around on you. What do you want for this place? Do you want it to be a private church? A good-looking place? Or do you want to be a public church where these new people today come in and test it out to see if it's good for them? Oh, they don't stay, Doak. They don't stay. No, they don't stay because they're passing through. That's the difference today. We're not the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. We're the 25th year in the 21st century. My ideas from 50 years ago or 30 years ago, or your ideas from 20 years ago will not work today. Half of America's population, polled by Pew Foundation, which is very reliable, they're funded by the money from the drug trade. But they're looking at religion and life in this country. 50% of the people interviewed are negative toward religion. They don't like God talk, it's silly. They don't like righteousness, it's pompous. They don't want anybody telling them what they should do. And they talk all the time, they're on the phones all the time, just like we are. They don't think they need community, but that loneliness will ultimately be dreaded, I think, I feel. Because I need people. And I'm awkward in front of people. This is my place to be intimate with ideas and expressions and doubts. And the whole idea is to allow you that comfort too, to say, okay, we got troubles. We got bad troubles. But we come here for an hour, we come here for a while and become a community and celebrate that with vim and vigor and laugh through our tears. Amen. Alex will extinguish our chalice and know that you are the light for your life and others' lives. Something about lighting a fire and put it on a stand and put a bushel basket over it. I think Jesus or Paul or somebody said that. It don't do no good. Everybody's in the dark. So as you can, when you can, be good and kind. It might get infectious.